All right, so thank you all for joining us on this Tech Stack webinar. I've got some amazing people to talk to all of you, and I'm really excited to find out how they use their tech stack, what's important to them, how they decide what to choose for their tech stack. I'm Tyann Marcink Hammond. I'm with TouchStay Digital Guidebooks, the Queen of Guest Experience, and I'm also a property manager with two property management companies in Missouri, Branson Family Retreats and Missouri House Vacation Rentals over in Missouri Wine Country. But I'm also going to let my folks, my panelists here to introduce themselves really quick as well. Let's go Heather, Taylor, and then Kenny.
All right. Hi, guys. I am Heather Meuer. I'm here out of beautiful Branson, Missouri, and we have a small portfolio of short-term rentals that we own and manage. So we have 6 of those, and then we are in current development for a glamping and RV resort here in Branson as well. It is we're basically adding 17 short-term rentals to our portfolio with that. So there's 17 glamping units there, and then there will be 50 full hookup RV sites there as well at that resort. And then we also just closed on a long-term mobile home and RV park here in Missouri, a few hours away.
Awesome, thank you.
My name is Taylor. I work over at TechFester. We run an institutional short-term rental investment fund. We've acquired over 140 properties in the last 2 years across 9 different states. So we're just continuing to build one more acquisition at a time and continue to scale.
Awesome. And that phone call you took just moments before the webinar, was your offer accepted?
Don't know yet. Yeah, no, still writing offers, squeaking them in. So we'll see.
That's awesome. All right, Kenny.
Hey, I'm Kenny Bahl. I'm the COO of Portoro Homes. We are a short-term rental management company. What we do is we purchase local property managers that are managing short-term rentals, and we grow like that, and then we grow organically in those markets. As of March 1st, when we closed 2 new companies, we have 250 properties spread out across 5 different markets, including Austin, Jacksonville, Chesapeake Bay, Oregon, and Charleston.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we do have a quick question. I'm going to go ahead and answer right away. Linda wanted to know, is this geared towards American property owners, managers? And this is geared towards anyone in the world. A lot of the tech we'll talk about is available globally, but there's also different tech that's available to you regionally, wherever you are on the globe. So yeah, Linda, you're in the right spot. Thanks so much for asking that question. And if anyone else has a question, just feel free to drop it in the Q&A. I couldn't find the chat to turn on the chat. So if you just want to say hi to us too, feel free to jump on the Q&A, say hi, tell us where you're from. We love the interaction. You should be able to see other people's questions in there too. So we're going to go ahead and get started with what we're doing here. So I'm going to end this poll. And the first question I'm going to ask is, Taylor, can you tell us what is a tech stack? Tech stack is a term that's used a lot in the industry. So let's just get it defined and get it out there. What is it that a tech stack is?
Yeah, how we look at our tech stack is all the tools and technology, different apps, different resources that we use to, own, acquire, and operate our short-term rental portfolio. So this is everything A to Z, from the acquisition side on the front end to, operation and reporting on the back end. So, that tech stack is continuing to add different apps, features, websites, et cetera, along to each process to be able to better function and operate those short-term rentals.
Excellent. Thank you. So technology, it's a helper. But Kenny, I want you to tell us, why is a tech stack so important to your business? Because again, we hear that term flying around everywhere all the time, and people talk about, hey, this is important, this is important. But really, why is it important to your business at Portoro?
Yeah, tech stack is made up of a variety of different softwares that we use every single day to manage the complete stack of our business, whether it is accounting software to be able to understand revenue or pay owners, or if it is a task manager to be able to see what cleans need to be completed. It just keeps us organized, efficient, and cost effective.
Great, thank you. I'm going to launch another poll here. So folks attending, if you want to pop in there, what property management software or PMS do you use? And while you're answering that, I want to come to Heather. And Heather, as a small operator, you've got different types of lodging that you manage. So you've got the new RV and glamping resort that you're developing right now. I believe you said you just purchased an RV site as well in another location, and your short-term rentals. So your tech stack, how does it look with all these different types of lodging properties that you're doing?
Yeah. So some of them cross over, right? So our short-term rentals and the glamping and RV resort, because that's short-term, there's some things that we can use similarly. So we use TouchStay for our short-term rentals. We'll be using that at the glamping resort as well, because it's going to be a great tool to use for our guests to get familiar with the area, to start planning. And then there's things like even our property management software, even though they're both kind of short-term rentals, specific, they have to be different. So we use OwnerRez for our short-term rentals, but for the glamping resort, because it's more like hotel management software that you need. And so we'll be using something called NewBook for that, and that's more of an RV specific property management software. As far as so we have a long-term mobile home and RV park that's 670 units total, and that we just closed on this week. So I don't have a lot of like real solid, confidence in anything that we're using there yet, but we are using long-term property management software for that, of course. And then just with our communication with our team, my VAs that I have, and then our cleaners, things like that, we're using WhatsApp right now. So that's, a communication tool. Google Drive is huge for us in sharing different spreadsheets and different forms and documents that we need to share. Yeah, so there's some things that are we can use across the board, and then some things that are very specific. There is also, I would say, something that is big is automation, right? So automation in what we do, especially with short-term rentals, is a huge part of it. And that's something that I love about TouchStay specifically. We use we use the memo feature to communicate with our guests. So we kind of were able to scale maybe a little bit faster, it feels like, because of the automation in some of these tools that we use. Kind of cuts down on the time that you're actively messaging guests and working with them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's real interesting how you're able to take some text that you love and then apply it across the board to different types of things that you're managing as well. Taylor, there's all this different tech that you're able to do, and there's all these shiny objects. And I must admit, my husband and I, sometimes we get shiny object syndrome. And it's like, oh, there's a new one. Can we use that one? So when all these new things are coming out, or you're just getting into the industry and you see all these choices before you, what is it that is your essential criteria for determining what kinds of tools that you need in your tech stack?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we need to figure out what's going to best fit for us operationally, because we're not, a property management company, because we're not an individual owner, with our scale, and, we have reporting to investors and the institutional aspect of it. We've really kind of had to see what can fit. And then realistically, what we've done a lot of is just build on top of a lot of current apps, and that's kind of been the tech approach, is because most of these aren't built for an institutional, short-term rental portfolio. They're more built for property management companies or individual owners with, 1 to 20 properties and so forth. So we've really had to just kind of combine a lot of different forces and then build on top of it. Luckily, our founders come from a tech background, so we're able to leverage a lot of that knowledge and experience to kind of build our own custom tech on top of it. And, we've toyed with the idea of rolling out our tech, to every other investor to be able to leverage. So we've built some really cool tools. For now it's proprietary and, held close to the vest, but we're definitely toying with the idea of kind of rolling out some of our things that we've built in the last 2 years that have allowed us to scale and leverage operationally, to see if it can help other investors as well.
That's really cool. For us, when we decide do we need new tech? What is it that we need to look for? Or if we see something shiny new objects come across, we're taking a look at what pain point does it solve? Are we having enough pain to go spend money on a piece of tech? And will that piece of tech actually take care of that problem and relieve the pain? Will we save time? Will we save money? Will it create convenience? Will it free up our brain space and our operations to go do something else that furthers our business? So it's really hard not to have shiny object syndrome and look at what's going on, but instead taking a look at what is it that you really need and what really helps. One of our latest pain points was the fact that we were spending hours upon hours upon hours with bookkeeping, especially as we grew as a small property management company. So when something came across to help relieve that pain, we were all over it for sure. Kenny, with the massive number of tech choices that we've talked a little bit about, how do you determine which tool to choose over a similar one? Because we're in an economy that there's choices, and the more competition, my American mindset of economics, yeah, let's have competition, let's help everybody do better and better. But that gives you as a property manager lots of choices. How is it that you figure out which one you should pick over another one?
Yeah, great question. I would agree that our industry in particular has an incredible amount of softwares, and each one does like one or two things well and is missing what other features other softwares have. So it is one of the more difficult things that you have to do in your journey as a property manager. This is my third time doing it. I did it for Avant Stay, I did it at Turnkey, I did it at Lyric. What I've found is the most important thing is to actually understand your business. What does your business actually need to operate? What pain points is the software going to solve? One thing that was important to us is incredible flexibility. We want to be able to manage our guest journey, our owner journey, our sales journey. And in order to do that, we need a wide variety of different platforms that connect to each other in a seamless way that creates like the actual automation. Sometimes you will do a demo with a software company and they'll say, this has a great integration with Guesty. This has a great integration with Streamline. And then when you actually get past the sales speak and you see what that integration is, it could be virtually non-existent. So what we do is we find out exactly what we want to cover with the software, and then we do an in-depth demo to ensure that it can coexist in our current tech stack that we currently have.
I like that. You find what you want the software to do for you, and then you see if that really truly does it and then has the side benefits. I'm the same way. When I look at a piece of tech, I know what I want from it and what I want it to do and what's valuable to me, especially with the property management software. There are so many excellent ones out there, and there's ones that excel in some aspects and just aren't that great in some other aspects. So for me, when I chose mine, I am huge on communication, and everything just has to work seamlessly. So that's what I was searching for first and foremost on when I was looking for a piece of tech for like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just to throw in one more point on that, I loved what you said about what works for you, because in certain businesses, maybe you have a really good bookkeeper. And so you're like, I don't really need to spend too much on an accounting software, or you have a really good reservations manager. And you're like, our communication stacks right now. So I try to use technology in a way that helps my particular business and not what I might see in like marketing or something like that.
Yes, because as we've got 4 people up here, excuse me. We all have a different type of business, different size of business, and different locations, and we all run our businesses differently. So as we'll later, everybody know we'll give what our tech stacks are, but you'll notice that there may be similarities and there's going to be big differences as well. But I want to move over to Heather. How has having a solid tech stack helped you to expand the types of properties? I know Taylor and Kenny, their companies have expanded with the number of properties. I mean, it's just incredible with like Portoro, you guys going from 0 to 250 properties in a year is just amazing. But Heather, you're expanding the different types of properties, not just the numbers.
Yeah. So I think what it is, I talked about automation and just time savings. A lot of what we're talking about with our tech stack is obviously we want it to fit within our business, but a lot of tech, the goal is to create more time for us so that we can focus on running our business and not being in our business, right? And growing our business. So as far as expanding goes, it was finding the right tech stack allowed me to save time and not just be working in it and feeling like I was, answering all the questions and doing all the things. But it really helped automate things so that I could then focus on moving on to, another type of real estate that we were interested in.
Have you felt like it gives you more creative leeway to do things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm an all or nothing girl. When I started, I know Tyann, I talked to you a lot about your tech stack and what was working for you and why it was working. And I built out our tech stack wanting to, some people be like, well, we'll add on this when we feel like we need to. I was like, I want everything that I think that we're going to need because I knew we wanted to grow. And so I built that out knowing that I wanted to create as much automation, but also, again, communication with guests. Not the kind of automation that, sounds like a robot. I want them to think that it's me. That's really important, that my words are in those messages. So yeah, creating the automation and that frees up my time so that I can kind of move on to other things. These new types of properties that we have and the new technology that I'm bringing on now, I'm kind of like right in the middle of it. So I'm kind of up to my eyeballs. I'm filling out spreadsheets for our glamping resort project for that software. And I'm like, oh gosh, I can't wait till this is over with. But I did a lot of research before I chose one, so I'm confident that it'll be a good one for us. It's just growing pains.
Awesome. All right, Taylor, Kenny, I said a little bit ago how fast you guys are growing with a number of properties. And Taylor first and then Kenny, how has the use of tech enabled you to scale without increasing your headcount too much? Because there's a lot of expenses in the people part as well. But how has the tech enabled you to scale like this quickly and without having to add too many more people?
Yeah, I mean, I think Heather said the phrase is it frees up your time. Ultimately, there's only so much time to acquire more assets, renovate them, design them, furnish them, et cetera, and add them to the operational portfolio. So for us, it's can this new piece of tech free up, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, whatever it might be. And those are things we're always going to look at. Every SKU of the business, whether it's freeing up time on the front end with acquisitions, freeing up time, on the construction side, on the design side, the, pricing, revenue management, the guest communication. If you can go steal 30 minutes here, an hour here across all, 6 or 8 major SKUs of the business, all of a sudden that adds up to a lot. So you're not trying to find these huge wins. At scale, you're not going to have these like, oh, this new piece of tech just freed up, 20 hours. It's not going to be that big, but it's going to be pulling in these small, time savings and then stacking those together. And then that just allows you to have more bandwidth from an individual human capital standpoint so that to your first point, you don't have to add as much headcount and you can continue to scale leveraging that tech. So those are things we always look for is how do we save little bits of time here in each different pillar of the business? And then that's going to all add up to a huge time saving overall.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, our first disagreement. I actually think that technology can create large efficiency gains. So, one of the things that I think about is our field operations group, where without like task management software, we would have to, per 100 homes, you'd have to have like 5 to 10 people in the market capable of doing it. But with a proprietary or off-the-shelf task management software, we're able to get to 3 headcount per 100 200 properties in the same market, which is like pretty efficient. On the other side, I do think that technology allows us to scale more rapidly because it does take some work off. So if we acquire a company, one of the things that we do first and foremost is identify what we can help take off of the general manager or local staff's plate to free them up to have more time in the home. Some of that is customer experience, so being able to communicate with guests. Other things are like automating potential owner income statements, saying like, hey, we can automate owner statements, take a load off 80% of the work off of your local accounting staff, or be able to provide even just quotes to owners. So a lot of automation allows us to scale more rapidly because it takes large chunks of time off the people that you need to be communicating with your customers, whether that's guests, vendors, or owners.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So a question came in from the audience, and this one I'm going to direct at Heather. I'm going to throw this in here now instead of later. They want to know, what are the main categories for your tech stack as a small operator?
Yeah, I'm getting excited because I'm seeing some people in the chat concerned, going, well, these guys got all, they've got all these hundreds of properties. Y'all, I have 6 short-term rentals. And the other, yes, we're developing a glamping resort. Yes, we have a long-term RV park, but that was literally last week. The tech stack that I am currently using today to run my properties, it's for the 6 properties that I manage, the 6 short-term rentals. And so I do have a tech stack for those, and it is so helpful. I would be using something completely different if I had hundreds. I love the technology that you can use, whether you have 1 property or 6 or 200. It's so important. Just because you have only a handful of properties doesn't mean that you shouldn't be leveraging technology to free up your time, because, and some of these, they really don't cost a lot of money. And even if they do cost money, your time is worth something, right? So the time that you spend responding to guests, sending out those messages, or, doing certain things that technology could help you with, you could be, finding another property, or, partnering with someone on something, or working, if you've got, a W-2 job, you could be putting more time there, or just going on vacation. I know people that have a handful of properties and feel like they're tied down to their phones all the time because they're not leveraging technology. So it does not matter how many properties you have. A tech stack can be so helpful in you running your business like a business, because even if you've got 1 or 2, you have a business, right? Did I answer the question, Tyann? Because I just got so excited about wanting to make sure that people that were watching felt like this is for them too, because this is me. I've got 6 properties. The other ones aren't even running yet. I'm not using the tech stack for those yet. So
yes, so not quite.
Okay, say it again.
You answered an unspoken question that I think was really important, though.
Yeah.
The question was what type of categories there are that you want to look at as a small operator. And so basically your property management software, or
Yes.
reservation management software, depending upon what they call it in your area.
Yeah.
I feel pricing is really good. But pricing used to not be essential. It's essential now, honestly, in my mind. There's the digital guidebooks, there's your accounting software, communications, whether, phone, text, email. What other ones do you guys come to mind that are just essential if you had to strip everything else back?
For me, it would be the property management software. A guidebook really is super, super important. And then pricing. People think that they are going to save money by not using a pricing software. Most of the time, you will lose money by trying to price it out yourself, because those pricing softwares, they're not a set it and forget it, but they help tremendously in knowing when something is coming up or when things start getting booked. and your competition is booking, it'll raise your prices higher. Those are the things that I would say are the three kind of, and then a communications, texting type thing. Those are the four, I guess, that would be non-negotiables for me.
Excellent. What about Kenny and Taylor? Just any additional ones you think are essential? And while you're answering that, I'm going to launch another poll here.
Yeah, I would say I sent a message in the chat, but I would echo everything that Heather said and just add task management and lock automation, making sure that whatever locks you're using on your property are directly connected to your property management system takes a lot of confusion out for guests. You can leverage, when we're talking about a communication stack, I saw one of the questions there talking about how you want to make it still feel human. When we're talking about that, we're talking about like static communication that you would send to a potential guest. So like, check-in instructions like being formatted to give them all the pertinent info. But, people at Portoro, I'm sure TechVestor as well, are still speaking to humans like throughout the process, whether it's on phone or text or email. And so I would just say making sure you have task management and lock automation set up to enable your folks to deal with real guest issues as opposed to just, run-of-the-mill business stuff like issuing codes.
Yes,
Yeah, Tyann,
I forgot about lock automation. Sorry. That one I've had from the very beginning, and I know I would have messed up and not had a guest, not be able to check in. So 100%.
Yeah, I think the easiest thing you want to identify whether you have 5 properties, 10 or 1,000 is write down what you do on a daily basis. It's a super easy trick. And what you're going to learn. So even if you are a small operator with 5 or 10, write down and see where your time is allocated for a week straight every day. And then go figure out where your biggest time suck is. So where you spend the most hours of your day. And then go look at what software can I implement that would reduce this and or eliminate it. Then go to your second biggest time suck and do it. So everybody, how they operate and structure their business, those order of time sucks are going to be completely different. Your number one, where you're drowning in accounting or you're drowning in guest communication, might be completely different than somebody else who has 5 properties, 10 properties. So, there's a category and an opportunity and a piece of tech for everything. You just need to see what your biggest time sucks are so that you can either reduce or eliminate them. And that's kind of what we've done is if we realize there's a pain point as we've grown, we just look for, is there a software that can solve for it? I don't know if it was a question brought up or not, but I do think a critical point that we've learned is a lot of these softwares are trying to offer ancillary benefits that the others, focus in. It's a cautionary tale. What we found is go with the software that specializes or focuses in it. We are not big fans of, oh, well, this is the all-in-one, or we can do 3 different things. We can do pricing and messaging and guidebooks. Personally, we would rather work with the software that this is the only thing they do, or this is the best thing that they do, because it's just super important at our scale and how we're operating from an institutional level. So I do get the emails from all the software companies. I do get the, oh, look at this new feature and it's an overlap of a different one. But if that's not what they're known for, it's something they're just rolling out, I'd be very cautious about trying to integrate that, especially if it is a pricing or a critical aspect of your business. Focus on who's good and who's built their reputation on that, because that's going to make more dollars for you rather than, oh, let me cut out this $15 a month or $20 a month one because this one does the same thing. I'd argue you're actually costing yourself money rather than saving money. So just a cautionary tale.
Yeah, that great point by Taylor. There are software companies right now that are doing like massive roll-ups that take a couple PMSs, take lock automation, and take marketing, and they try to roll you into one of those. I agree with him that we sort of avoid those like the plague. We want someone that is hyper specialized in what they do. One thing that we try to avoid too, on top of that, is like the single point of failure. So if that company that you're bought in with all these different suites of software, if they decide to change their prices overnight, you're going to be getting hit on every single one of their softwares, as opposed to being able to negotiate one-on-one with your different software providers.
Really good wisdom, guys. Thank you. And it leads right into our next question. And this one, I don't want you to name the tech at all. You guys have done really good with not naming much anyway, but I promise, dear audience, we will get to the point where we name our tech. But I want to hear the horror stories. As you just heard from all three of them, how important tech is, but when it fails, if you don't choose the right tech, it does create a nightmare. And I know we've all got a story or more of when you made the wrong choice. And so I want to hear, I know Kenny's got one. Taylor, Heather, if you guys think of one too and you want to share, if there's a piece of tech you regret adding, what happened, but what did you learn from it? Because no matter what, it's not a failure, it's a learning experience. So Kenny.
Oh, happy to. This is the worst thing that can happen to you. So I've had several instances from signing up. I'll just be honest, Salesforce for doing like task management 4 or 5 years ago, coming out of turnkey vacation rentals, which is what they're using. It ended up being a huge time and money suck on us, and that we didn't end up, even launching it. There's been another circumstance where we've used the wrong accounting software or accounting services company and had to untangle that for 4 to 8 months just to be able to have clean books and understand our data. It is worth way more to you to spend more time at the beginning, having as many conversations with that company, asking that software company for similar clients to you and doing interview with those similar clients. They will provide that. They usually have references, just like if you're trying to sign on a homeowner and they're like, can we speak to one of your homeowners? That happens. So yeah, the worst thing you can do is sign on the incorrect software. So take all the time at the beginning, because unraveling stuff is way harder than starting things.
Really wise words. Yes. We had something this past year, the same thing, and there was a pain point we identified, that the team identified that they wanted to take care of. They went to Verma, walked the exhibit hall, talked to the salespeople, but they didn't do that last step that Kenny said, was to really dive deep into more of a demo. And we got ourselves into a piece of tech that it didn't work like we were promised. And so then we had to unravel some things, and cost us a lot of time and a lot of frustration during the summer high season. And when there's frustration that causes it was guest frustration as well. So that really, really hurt for us. Not our reviews, thankfully, we're able to recover that, but just our team and how everything was working. Taylor, Heather, did you guys have any question or any story that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think ours is a little different. We have outgrown softwares. So I know at our peak, we've had 29 properties being renovated across 5 different states simultaneously. So our actual CRM for how we were tracking lead flow, where stuff was, hey, this one's passed inspection, this one's passed appraisal, this one's under renovation, this one's getting furniture delivery, this one's ready for photos. So all those different stages. We've actually outgrown. I think a big thing is understanding where your business is at and which software is best for that. Um, you know, just because this software is the #1 rated, it might be #1 rated for people with 100+ listings, but a different software is probably better if you're at 10 or less. At the same token, there's really good softwares that work. And this is the problem we've run into, is with our scale, we've outgrown some of these where, man, these were great when we had 10 to 25 listings, but they're starting to break at 50 to 100. And that's where you need to step up or, scale back. So I think really another thing that we've learned is we've just outgrown softwares a lot with scale. And so you just really need to find out when you're picking your software, where am I at? What's best for my business? Do you plan on scaling or growing? And really identifying is, can this software grow with me, or am I going to eventually outgrow it and need to move on to something else that can handle it? So those are questions that, based on your business, your growth, your plans, your goals for you individually, again, whether you have 10 or 100, is understanding, can the software keep up with my pace? Because it might be better to switch early than it is to switch late. I'll say that we've switched when you've been drowning. It's a lot easier when you're still floating a little bit to switch and make that. So just identify those up front, and it's going to save you a lot of headache down the road.
Yeah. Mine's not really, it's a great software. It was a shiny object syndrome thing. You know, I saw one that I thought, oh, this could work really well. And it was using two property management softwares, because one I heard was just so good for automated, messaging. And really what it came down to was I was using that and it was not needed. I had just not leveraged the management software and like my guidebook that can do the same thing. And I hadn't leveraged those in the right way. And it was already there. What I needed was already there. I just saw this, and there was so many other people that were saying, oh yeah, we use this on top of our property management software because it's, so great at communicating or automating, messages. So once I realized that I already had the tech in to do it and I could get rid of that, that's all I needed to do.
I think that really ties into one of the questions we have from the audience, is when there is a overlap of features of two different pieces of tech, how do you decide which one to use when there's an overlap? And did you have any problems with an overlap of annoying guests? Now they're asking specifically about touch stay and a channel manager, but I think this can apply to any type of tech that has overlapping features, especially if you're using a PMS that has all those additional ancillary type things, and then you're wanting something that maybe works a little bit better because they focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, Tyann, I think tagging onto that, what we've kind of done to, assuming, price is taken out of the equation, really we've just come down to user experience, what we like. So Kenny's brought this up doing demos. If you're kind of like flip a coin and they're both really good, sometimes a decision has been as simple as which one's got a better user experience, in our personal opinion, which obviously that is an opinion. Somebody else might think the other one's easier to use, but at the end of the day, if our team or the key members on our team are using this software, we're going to really rely on them for the decision making. And so it has simply, when we've kind of narrowed it down and has the same features, the same capability, the same, plugins, and the price is relatively, the same. We've simply just asked, hey, who is this person who's going to be using this the most? Because obviously it's not, maybe our CEOs or somebody else's decision. We want that person to feel comfortable with purely what's the UI behind it. And so if that user interface is really good and they like it, we've simply picked softwares purely based on that. So I would default to that if you've kind of eliminated everything else.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kenny.
Oh, sorry. We always, like just what Taylor said, like whoever the user is going to be at our company, we involve them in that process. So a lot of companies do have a ton of overlap. I mean, we experience it right now. We have like 3 different softwares that can automate guest messaging, but we leverage the one that our users spend the most time in, and we bring those into the demos. I never pretend to know more than anyone on my team about any given software. If they're using it every day, they're much better than me. And so I can't make those choices. So whoever's going to use it, they get to decide.
Yeah, and the question specifically between touch stay and another piece of tech that has messaging, like for myself, I do the memo text from touch stay, but I do the triggered emails through my property management software, because there's different types of triggers that each software is able to do, and the different parts of the journey that is going on. Now, yes, touch stay does have a triggered email capability as well, but I do like the one better from my property management software. So it just tying in, like Taylor and Kenny said, who's using it, who's receiving it, what's the better user interface, and how, I guess, minute in detail the controls and the triggers and the brand voice that you can put in there, the different types of hyperlinks or links, all of that comes into play with that. All right, so this is a question for everybody, and I think one of the questions that our audience has been waiting for. They want to know what type of tech stack that each of us uses. Now, before we do this is a reminder that Kenny and Taylor have large companies, so they're going to definitely have a different looking tech stack than Heather and I would have. And how I want to do this is I'm just going to give a category, and then each of you say what it is that you guys use. That work? All right. So we're going to do on my screen, Taylor, Heather, Kenny, myself, and we'll go around like that way. Okay. So your property management software.
We use Hospitable for guest communication.
Your property,
Onerous.
okay, hold on, Taylor, your PMS, your property management,
Yeah, hospitable.
hospitable. Okay, excellent. Heather,
We use onerous.
Kenny,
We use Guesty.
awesome. And I use OwnerRes as well. Digital guidebook.
Watch day.
Touch day.
That's stay.
Which one do I use? Yeah, that's right. It's called Touch Say. Okay, yes, I totally set you guys up for that. Your guest communication, and if you use more than one, then go ahead. And guest communication, meaning there's automatic communication, and there's the manual communication.
Yeah, I mean, we use hospitable for guest communication, and I guess probably clarifying on the front end for property management software is we've had to build a lot of stuff on top of hospitable. We purely use hospitable just for guest communication, and then we'll extract all the data out and pull it into our other software just to fit our needs, since nothing else can do that.
Cool. Any manual communications, like when a guest calls or texts?
Yeah, I mean, we do things like open phone, as well as obviously direct communication through the OTAs.
Heather?
Yeah, we use onerous for things like email and all those. We use Touch Stay for in the memo feature for text, just like you said you do, Tyann. And then as far as like phone text, we have Google Voice, but we're switching over to Open Phone. And then of course any guest communication like through the OTAs, we do that directly through onerous.
Kenny?
Yeah, for automated messaging, we use AutoHost. For manual OTA messaging, we use Guesty. And for phone and text, we use AirCall.
We use Open Phone for the calling and texting. I love that we can set hours and there's an automatic text saying, hey, we're with our family. Here's the emergency phone number to call. And that's whoever's on call. Then, as I said earlier, OwnerRes for triggered emails. I also use that for our inbox for the OTAs coming in, OTAs meaning Airbnb, Vrbo, etc. And then Touch Day for our automated text messages to the guests. Okay, accounting. There's accounting and then there's expenses, whether you do that in the same software or different ones. Taylor.
Yeah, we've had to build our own. Obviously, we have investors in reporting, SEC, and legalities, so we've had to kind of customize and build our own for reporting.
Cool. Heather.
We use QuickBooks Online, and as far as like for the few properties that we have that we manage for others, OwnerRes has those accounting reports. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Kenny.
Yeah, we use Sage Intact, which is just an accounting software for any type of business. Then we use Bill.com and Divvy for AR, AP, and sort of credit cards out in the field.
Very cool. We use QuickBooks Online for the account. Of course, our PMS OwnerRes has the management module for that part. And then expenses, we are using TopKey for that.
TopKey's very good. Just throwing that out there. We're going to switch to them.
Cool. I'm very happy with them.
Okay.
Okay, lock automation, really quick. Let's go faster here. Any type of lock automation.
Yeah, we've primarily Schlage Encode using their stuff, their integrations.
Cool.
Yep, we use those as well with remote lock.
Yeah.
We use Links automation.
Cool. Yeah, we use Schlage and then the Yale Access, but we're manually putting in door codes because we haven't been able to trust integrations. Okay, task management and or cleaning scheduling. Taylor.
Turno.
Heather.
Turnover cleaning and Monday.com for task management.
Kenny.
Breezeway.
And we're using Google Calendar to schedule cleanings, and then task management, we're using Monday. Noise monitoring.
Yeah, I believe it's Noise Aware is the one that we have.
Cool. Heather?
We don't have any. We have not had any noise complaints.
Cool.
I think it's by market too, but yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
It definitely is. Noise aware.
And then we use Minute.
Cool.
Okay, cool. I think we hit the main categories. Is there any other main category you guys can think of that we missed that we should?
Pricing.
Pricing.
Yeah, pricing. Okay, Taylor,
We use Price Labs.
Heather.
Price Labs.
Wheelhouse.
Cool. I use Price Labs also. Awesome. Okay, last question. Just looking over questions here. Okay, so our last question, guys. What piece of tech has been your most recent addition and why? Let's start with Heather.
Okay.
Taylor. Taylor, that works.
I
More
thought we were
Taylor.
going in the same order.
Go, Taylor, go.
Okay. It actually has been Turno. So because we are so scattered across 9 different states and you have all these different cleaners and getting everything streamlined, it's kind of funny how every small business operator, here's invoices, here's Zelle, here's Venmo, here's Cash App, here's all these different things. So really kind of getting everybody onboarded with using something like Turno. We have used things like Breezeway as well, and just creating as many standardizations, at our scale, it can get difficult with all these one-off scenarios. So bringing in streamlining with things like Turno, like Breezeway, it just has been super important. So that's actually a newer acquisition for us to add to the tech stack has been Turno. So we're really excited. It's been going great so far.
Awesome. Heather.
We've been using it for a while, but it's still the newest, Monday.com. And that's what we use. So I have VAs, and that's something that, they've got their task management, what they're doing daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. And so that's been really helpful.
Excellent. Kenny.
Yeah, I would probably just say a controller for our Sage Intacct. So Sage Intacct, we just signed our official contract with them. So that's been super helpful. We're able to have a high level of control over our chart of accounts now, which is helpful.
That is awesome. No control freaks on this panel. Oh, no, not right. And then the latest piece of tech that we have added was actually TopKey. That is the bookkeeping is something we found huge pain point and taking up so much time. And then this has been able to help us to stay more organized and get our team more organized without those lost receipts and having to chase them down so much. So that has been a huge relief for us. Okay. Questions here. We got, thank you for sharing. Oh, channel manager. Someone asked about channel managers. Do you guys use a separate channel manager from your property management software? No? Okay.
No.
All right. I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for joining us, my audience, my panelists. I appreciate it. We will send a link to the recording afterwards if you want to look through it again. If you have any questions at all, let us know. You can also reply to that email. You can find all of us on social media, visit our properties. Love to have you all. Thanks again so much, and we will see you guys soon.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.